Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and today we're going to go over a couple of things I found at a flea market, and we're going to try and figure out what's going on with one of the reels. So, interestingly enough, I was at a flea market this past weekend, and I was able to find these reels that came from a pallet of store returns, and you can tell kind of right away that this one's missing a handle. And actually, I found 4 of these. They were missing handles, and I was able to go into my stock of broken reels and find a couple of handles that work. I was kind of intrigued by them. The manufacturer, or the brand name on this thing is called Granite Outdoors. It's sold in department stores, Walmart and others. I'm not quite sure where this job lot came from in terms of the store returns. Might have been Walmart. It always annoys me. You go into these stores, and for some reason there's a bunch of folks out there that just think it's convenient to just steal handles. And 3 of the reels came without handles. As I mentioned, I went into my stock and found a couple of handles that fit. I also went on to eBay and buy a handle for about $2.50. So why somebody is putting their life work at jeopardy for $2.50 is beyond me, but I guess that happens. And so we found 3 of these, and I'm intrigued. The reel itself doesn't sell for much. It sells for under $20. It's got a 5/0 gear ratio. It's a 2000 size reel, and it's advertised as 5+1 bearings. So 3 of the reels work. They were just missing the handles, and the one with the handle that actually works for the reel doesn't work. You'll notice that the spool shaft is broken. So we're going to take this apart. I'll call this one a tuition reel. If nothing else, it gives me a handle for one of the reels that's broken and or missing the handle. And we'll see what's inside this. As I said, I'm kind of intrigued that it's got 5 bearings plus an anti-reverse, and it's selling for about $20. So let's go ahead and take this off, see what we got here. I don't know much about Granite. I was trying to find schematics and that online. I imagine this is just a job lot for somebody, but we'll find out a little bit more about what these things are made of as we get underneath it. Also, I found this one was $8. This is a bait caster, and this one seems pretty darn smooth. So I'll tell you what, for under $20 or under $30, I'm not sure what, this one is advertised as a 6.3 with 6-ball bearings. That's a nice alternative reel. I'm sure you can't get parts for it, but this one seems to be fully intact, and I'm not quite sure why it was returned. Broken packaging or something maybe. We'll take a look at that one to come. And I guess while I'm at it and while I'm previewing for you, I also found this. It's a Zebco rod. You'll see it was for $1. It's got an ugly spin reel on it, and the ugly spin reel is acting ugly. It's not spinning. So we'll take this apart. That's a Shakespeare reel. We'll take this one apart in a future episode, and we'll see why that one's not working as well. So here we go. Let's continue with this. We took the spool off, put it in my parts tray. You know that I work with a parts tray just to keep all the pieces and parts there. Typical design of a spool shaft. We have to take these rotor off to get at the side cover, so let's go ahead and do that. So the spool shaft has a click rotor on it, which tells you that the drag is spinning backwards, and also has a little pressure washer there. This one happens to be clear. And since we don't have the schematics available to us, or at least I couldn't find them on the site, you want to go ahead and take pictures along the way, just so you know where the pieces and parts came from. If you get sidetracked or lose something and are having trouble, go back to the pictures. Take the pictures on your cell phone, take them on your a video camera, take them on a traditional camera. It doesn't really matter how you take them, just take them. So this is a 12mm, appears to be a 12mm nut, and I'm not having any luck with here. So this is one of the ways you test, right? So this one actually comes off by the traditional clockwise, which would be tightening. So just if you're not having any luck the one way, don't go crazy with it. Just go ahead and try getting it out the other way. All right, with that we can remove the rotor. You'll see the anti-reverse here, which is nice. Instant anti-reverse. We're going to take the handle off at this point. As I mentioned, this I'm not holding out hopes that this reel can be repaired. I'm thinking that the crosswind block is broken. That's usually what happens when the spool doesn't go up and down. But there's a case, maybe it was just poorly assembled or is missing a screw. If that's the case, we may be able to save it. So I went ahead and ordered a couple of handles. As I said, they were only about $2.50 on eBay. So check that out if you're ever missing a handle, or if you have an opportunity to buy a couple of reels cheap. And I got these for $4 each, so they retail for around $20, and I got them for $4. I would say that you know, the $2 investment in the handle is okay. So I'll have a bunch of reels here for under $10. I already know I got one handle for them, and with that under $10, some of you know I donate a lot of these reels to things like summer camps and Boy Scouts and fishing clubs and things, and that's maybe where these will wind up. But I was intrigued again. 5 ball bearings. That's an interesting concept for a $20 reel. Alright, so I've taken out 3 of the ones, 3 of the side plate screws. This is the 4th one now in the case. We'll pull that one, and then that'll give us some insight into what's going on here. Alright, so here's the ball bearing. It's a nice quality ball bearing. Now this is interesting because the spool and the crosswind block are attached. So here's the thing, the stud on this one is not inside the crosswind block. So we're going to see if that's just a manufacturing error there, it just wasn't picked up in quality control, or whether this is broken. So first thing we want to do is take that crosswind block set screw out to remove the axle shaft. And again, everything's going in that parts bucket. You'll notice I have a protective glove on my hand here to keep the contaminants off. Once we pull that off, we can, bearing came out. Here's the main gear, here's the crosswind gear, and there's your answer. So the side plate body is broken, and you can't do anything with this now. So I guess you could try some crazy glue or something, but there's a piece that's broken off on the body itself, and this is non-repairable. Again, you can probably try some crazy glue or something to try and get this piece out or something. To me, I'm not interested in doing that, and the reason I'm not interested in doing that is I don't want to put out for sale, give away something that has a high probability of breaking, and that's the case with this. So what I got really is a parts reel. As I mentioned, that it was fairly inexpensive. It was only about $4. So I got the handle off of this one to go work in one of these that we can fix. Got a couple of bearings. The bearings are generally standardized bearings. I'm going to put that on the reel. It's missing one right now. We'll see how this thing is as a performer. Simple enough to do. So for a total of $8, I got a reel that's retailing for around $20 or so. It's a smooth reel. That's not bad. What I like about it is a lot of the reels do not have the override with the instant anti-reverse. This reel does. No noise. It's a 2000 size reel. 5 ball bearings, pretty smooth. We saw how this gear is set up here. Now this is just, it's got a bearing, a couple of shims. It's got a broken crosswind block. It's got a second bearing in the back here. Now that's not a very big bearing, but it's a bearing as opposed to a bushing. You have your anti-reverse. We can take this apart because there's no sense not exploring it a little bit more. As I mentioned, I call these things tuition reels. So when you see 5 ball bearings, sometimes it's a little bit misleading because you have to question where those ball bearings are. And a lot of folks ask me, you know, what's the optimal size of number of ball bearings? Here you go. Here's the third one. The third one is on the shaft here. So we got a big bearing, nice. We have the collar for the anti-reverse bearing, and we have a smaller bearing here. So we have the 4 bearings inside the body, so that's plenty. 3 bearings is the minimal, really, to me, in today's technology. You want 1 in the case on this side, you want 1 in the case on the other side to stabilize the main gear. So we have that. We have 1 on this side, we have 1 on this side. You want at least 1 on the gear shaft, and in this case we got 2. We have the one that's going to stabilize it inside the hold, and then we have one that's running up top here. And then the last bearing is going to be in here then. It's going to be on the line roller. That would be my guess. It's not in the handle. Sometimes you'll see a bearing in the handle. Sometimes you'll see a bearing in a spool. Sometimes you'll see a bearing on the line roller. Really kind of depends. But in this case, decent reel, great price, bad case. It kind of makes you question, you know, is that going to be a defect over time, or did some kind of trauma happen here where something got broken and somebody forced the reel? We don't know. Here's probably the answer. I have a broken spring here. So something in this reel has a spring. It looks like it attaches here. That spring probably got jammed, and when that spring got jammed, somebody in the store probably just tried to crank it, over-cranked it, broke off the crossline gear, which was probably the weak point of the assembly. So, lessons learned. One of the lessons learned is you can get a nice reel for under $20 or $25. I mean, that's a nice reel. Don't expect to find parts for a reel of that piece. That makes sense. A reel repair is more expensive than the parts or the reel itself. When you think about it, it probably costs you $20 to try and get that repaired. You can get quality. There's 4 ball bearings and an anti-reverse bearing in this reel. Got a nice graphite case. You got a nice metal spool. In this case, I've got a spare spool. I got a handle that worked on the distributor's return lot. Got a rotor should I ever need it, and a couple of miscellaneous parts that might fit some other reels. So that's the Granite Outdoors reel. I'd say it's probably pretty good. Stuff happens, and with this one, looks like there was a spring that broke on this. And again, I don't have the schematic, so I can't tell you, but it looks like there was a spring that broke on this one, got jammed in the gearing, and caused the crosswind block to separate from the case, which makes this reel junk. But it doesn't mean that the reel's junk. I think that the 3 remaining reels here, and again, I have handles some different reels on these 2, but the handles themselves don't matter for the performance. This is a nice smooth operator. So I would tell you, if you're looking for a part-time reel, one that maybe is going to go fishing, I don't know, 5 or 10 times a year, pond fishing, river fishing. It's a 2,000 size inland bay. This one's going to be fine. This one's going to be fine. It takes 6, 8, and 10 pound tests. The midpoint D8 takes 160 yards. That's plenty of monofilament to get you for most of the fishing type environments. So I hope that helps. I hope you learned as much as I did from this one. And I'm kind of glad that I bought those. So on another episode, we'll go take this one apart. This is the Granite Outdoors bait caster. It's some low profile. It says 6 ball bearings. It spins very nicely. I got this one for $8 as part of that return lot. We're not sure why that returned, but everything seems to be functioning there. And then in the follow-on episode, we'll do that Shakespeare ugly spin. So with this, I thank you for viewing. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. If you like it, please indicate it. If you want to see more of these, please subscribe. Thanks again.